Hey everyone, today I'll be doing a long overdue video where I'll be reviewing and comparing the Angstrom and Max MGC Square-1s. The reason why I'm wearing a mask in these solves is because I'm practicing for my upcoming official comps, so that's the reasoning behind that. As always, thank you very much to the Cubicle for sending these cubes to me, and without further ado, let's just get started. Firstly, the Angstrom MGC Square-1 costs $29.99. It's slightly heavier than the Volt V2M, but the difference is not even noticeable. Out of the box, you could probably tell from my unboxing video that the cube was really nice, even without break-in. The cube was a bit sandy, but its feeling was extremely effortless and my turning was quite fluid on it. Shortly after I got the cube, I replaced the yellow with black, tightened the cube by 3/4 turns, and broke it in a ton. I tested out this cube at the last cubing at home competition, and ended up doing really well with a sub 6 average. Needless to say, this cube is amazing. The cube glides through its turns like any Angstrom puzzle, and I think my times are more consistent on this cube than any other Square-1 I've tried. My only issue is that usually, after long sessions, the cube starts to feel a bit dry, and I'd have to admit that the cube is slightly underlubed. The slice also feels a bit sluggish and bumpy, but that's not noticeable during solves. So overall, I do have a few minor gripes with the Angstrom MGC Square-1, but its very satisfying feeling, combined with the fluid turning I can usually achieve on it, easily outweighs those downsides. Now, onto the Max MGC Square-1, which comes in at $32.99. Out of the box, I didn't really enjoy this cube, mainly because the layers seem to drag as I turn them, which is essentially the opposite of the effortless feeling of the Angstrom MGC. After replacing the yellow caps with black and tightening the puzzle by 5/4 turns, I started to break the cube in. Even after a couple hundred solves on it, it seemed to retain that same sluggish, dragging feeling, both on the U and D layers as well as the slice. After that, I decided to put in 3 drops of D&M 37 into the puzzle. Now it's feeling a lot better. I wouldn't call the turning fast or effortless, but it's feeling really smooth, and it has a great balance between being too gummy and too dry. In other words, it's lubed really well. My only issue with this cube is that even after the 3 drops of D&M, the cube is still a bit slow for my liking. I'm reluctant to put even more D&M into the cube because in past experiences, I've learned that too much D&M into a cube can make it gummy and sluggish. Overall, the Max MGC Square-1 is smooth, controllable, and rather plush, but its turning is just not fast enough for me. Alright, so now I'll be giving my final verdicts on these puzzles. I'll be talking about which cube I'm going to main and why, and I'll also be talking about which cube I would recommend to you, depending on sort of your turning style and your preferences. Quick disclaimer though, there are other premium MGC Square-1s. I'm just going to give you a recommendation out of these 2 puzzles, if that makes sense. So the cube that I've decided to main is the Angstrom MGC Square-1. So the reason why I say that is simply because the max version is just a bit too slow for me, as I mentioned earlier. Even after 3 drops of DNM 37, it's still not as fast as I would like it to be. Don't perceive this as, a really alarming concern or anything like that. Like, this cube isn't slow. It's just that I like to have them really fast, if that makes sense. I also think that my times on the Angstrom version are just a little bit more consistent than on the Max, and so for that reason, I think this is going to be my main. I do want to point out though that this might change in the future. I might change my mind and like the Max version more, but for the time being, I definitely do prefer the Angstrom version. So, which of these 2 puzzles would I recommend to you? Well, obviously that's going to depend, but if you're looking for sort of a smoother, slightly slower and more controllable, and also a cube that kind of feels like there's more lube in it, then I would go for the Max version. It has sort of a slight plush aspect to it as well, so if you like that, then yeah, consider the Max version. On the flip side, if you're looking for a more effortless, quicker, glidier feeling into a cube, and you don't really mind a slightly dry feeling, then I would go for the Angstrom version. And so, yeah, I'm hoping this review, or I guess these reviews, helped you out. Hopefully they're entertaining to watch and also informative. And yeah, thank you for watching.